So the way we try to structure the juicy sentences is we select something from the text that we're reading. In this case, we're working in the second domain within core knowledge. We lift one of the sentences, and that sentence is not just about constructing meaning from the text, but it's also about transferring it to the writing that we're ultimately going to be doing. So when we do sort of a formative check on what the kids are challenged by most recently, it is this idea of making sure that every sentence has a subject and a predicate, and then more importantly, if we're using conjunctions, that we're using those conjunctions appropriately. Scarlett, number 3. Loud and proud.
Okay, in addition to large and spacious rooms for ordinary purposes, each house has conservations of flowers on both upper and lower floors.
Conservatories of flowers on both upper and lower floors. Turn to your shoulder partner. Tell them, what do you think this sentence means? All right, we'll come back together in 3, 2, 1. Make sure you're showing us active listening. We're going to have somebody teach it before we have somebody explain what the sentence means. So we're going to break this sentence apart using our juicy sentence strategy. Scarlett, number 1.
Does anyone notice anything in the sentence? Josh? There you go. I noticed that there is a cap lock, and there's a cap lock because it's the beginning of a sentence. Nice job. Adeline?
I noticed, I think that's a dependent clause, and that's an independent clause. Okay.
Does anybody disagree?
I think it's a dependent clause because, for like, in addition to large and spacious rooms for ordinary purposes. I think it's because can't be a sentence, or yeah, because it can't be like a sentence on its own. It has to be together.
Does anybody want to add to what Jillian said, or do you notice anything else? Emma.
I noticed that there's 2 conjunctions.
Nice job. Does anybody notice anything else? No. I'm going to disagree to part of Jillian's. I think this is an independent clause because it can be a whole sentence.
And what makes it its own sentence?
Because it has a subject, each house, and then it has a predicate. It has conservatories of flowers on both upper and lower floors. Does anyone notice anything else?
I noticed that there's a comma because it's connecting the 2 sentences, and there's a period because it's the end of the sentence.
Does anyone? Oh yeah. All right. Actually,
I think that the linking verb is on.
oh sorry.
Anyone notice anything else? Cormac?
I was reading it and I saw that you don't actually need the both because it says it has conservatories of flowers on upper and lower floors.
Does anybody notice anything else? Josh?
I think has is the linking verb. Cause like has is like explaining like conversatories of flowers on both upper and lower floor. Does anyone disagree with Josh?
Does anybody remember what part of speech on is?
On is a linking verb, like Ashley said, because it is stating that it's on both upper and lower floors.
Is it showing location?
Yes, it is.
So what
So-
shows location in a sentence?
Josh.
Now.
Yes, it does. Right, Evan?
Yes.
Or was it
What do you call
Do you
it?
notice something or disagree?
I disagree because
Alright.
I think it's adjective.
Does anyone disagree with Ella?
Noah?
It's an adverb.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes. There's the verb.
If it's an adverb, what verb is it describing? So we'll come back to that when we debrief. Is there anything else you guys noticed?
Noah B?
Well, like it's describing upper and lower floors.
It is, and so there is a word for that. So we'll come back to that one. So let's table the word on, and then Evan, let's see if anybody noticed anything else about that sentence.
All right, Ryan.
There's the Y at the end of ordinary, which that means it's an adjective.
Does anyone disagree? Right. Does anyone notice anything else? Ethan?
I think I noticed the subject.
I think room is a subject. Anyone disagree?
Emma, I would like to add, because I think it's spacious room. Yes.
Does anyone want to add?
Well, it's describing it, large and spacious rooms.
Does anyone disagree? All right.
I'm kind of adding on what Noah said on like his last one. I think each has, since this could be its own sentence, I think each has to be the subject.
So if Jillian is right, each house is the subject, which builds on what Noah said earlier. What are large and spacious rooms describing?
Does anyone have an idea of what that might mean?
Kate?
Each house.
All right, so the large and spacious rooms are describing the houses. One last thing, and then we're going to debrief all together. In addition, What part of speech is that?
Actually,
Isn't it a transitional phrase?
It is a transitional phrase, and what else do we call our transitional phrases? Especially as it relates to dependent and independent clauses, will you turn to your shoulder partner and remind them what that part of speech could be?
In addition would be a language. We did this study on it last we did no writing class.
Nice job. And we're back here in 3, 2, 1. In addition would be what? Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we got about half the room. Will you all stand up, pushing your chairs? I'm going to give you 2 questions. First question, what part of speech is in addition? Second, remind them what is the subject of this sentence. So find your writing coach, explain what part of speech that is, and then also tell me what is the subject of the whole sentence. Oh yeah, you're lost and found. So in addition is what part of speech? What word do we use to describe 2 sentences that are connected? So what does and do in a sentence? So in addition is connecting the dependent clause to the independent clause. All right. Okay, find your seat. Number 4, cadmium green.
I don't know what part of speech in addition, but I think the whole subject is each house.
All right, you get to repeat that whole thing.
so I don't really know what part of speech in addition is, but I think the subject of the whole sentence is each houses.
All right, so each house remains part of our remains our subject, and who can explain in addition is what?
I think a linking verb.
Yes.
Say it.
A linking verb?
She says a linking verb. Does anybody respectfully disagree?
I think it's a I just lost it.
Well, it is a transitional phrase.
phrase.
Central actions.
If this is the dependent clause, so you guys agreed. So Jillian underlined for us the dependent clause. Noah underlined for us the independent clause. What word connects a dependent clause and an independent clause?
A linking verb.
I respectfully disagree.
Oh, okay, that calls one question.
A conjunction. We did this on the writing class.
Say
It's
it
a
again.
conjunction.
It's a conjunction. So we're going to use this as a model to remind yourself this is a conjunction and how we can link a dependent clause with an independent clause. So we're going to follow this model. You will write, you're going to start your sentence with in addition when you write your own juicy sentence. So you'll start with in addition, then you will write your dependent clause. Comma, independent clause. So let me show you one model of that. And then you get to go to independent work. In addition to having a sun god, the Aztec also had a god of the earth. So we've used in addition. Wait 1 second to grab your Writer's Workshop notebook. In addition to having a sun god, the Aztec also had a god of the earth. What is my dependent clause? Rudy Red. Number 3. Oh, he's not here. Go ahead, Jackson.
Okay, I think it's in addition to having a sun god.
In addition to having a sun god. So we're following this. In addition, with our dependent clause, what is the subject? Call on somebody for me.
Kaylin. The Aztec also had a god of the earth.
So that's my whole independent clause. What is my subject?
The sun god. Wait, no, god of the earth. The Aztec.
The Aztec are my subject. And then you're right, Kaylin, this becomes my independent clause. All right, in your Writer's Workshop notebook, you're following this model. In addition, dependent clause, independent clause, and we'll come back together in about 6 minutes. If you get stuck, find your writing coach. Do you know what the subject is in this one? It's true. Because that's the us. So it's like a something is actually the whole loss. You haven't completed that. So in addition to each as a concept of flowers and different flowers, it also has this large spatial scope. So in addition to the cold block, what is added to the cold block? And if you can go ahead and show me ready. Who was my last speaker? Oh, it was Jackson. Jackson, will you go ahead and call on somebody for me? If you want to share your juicy sentence with the class.
It was Sasha. No, yeah, it was Sasha.
That's fine. Jackson, go ahead and call on somebody. Nope. All right. Josh, remember you're going to go over there. You've got to speak into the microphone. Make sure that everybody can see your sentence.
I'll do the last. In addition to scaring children on Halloween, I love when they run away.
In addition to having frozen yogurt, Yogurt Beach has Italian ice as well.
All right, before you remove yours, Ashley, who can explain what the subject of this sentence is? You have to call on somebody.
Ava, yogurt.
All right, Ava says Yogurt Beach. What's the dependent clause? In addition to having frozen yogurt, Yogurt Beach has Italian ice.
Lisa.
In addition to having frozen yogurt.
All right, so Nisa says in addition to having frozen yogurt. How come nobody at Midnight Blue agrees with that? And then finally, what is the conjunction used in this sentence?
Christian, in addition.
In addition. All right, call on somebody, Ashley. We'll take a couple more.